Okay, here we go. Here's a Blitz game, 5 and 3 time control. My Blitz rating has fallen on hard times, it seems. Let's see, we got a Sicilian here. Plays with knight c6. It's a flexible move, could introduce different systems. So this is the Kalashnikov, so-called. Sveshnikov, they would bring the knight out first to force me to bring a knight out here. In this line, I have the option of playing c4 at some point, unless they kick it immediately. This is something else then, I forget the name of it. Kind of an old-fashioned line where black gives up the bishop pair for no particular reason. And white has a good endgame. Black has the worst pieces and the worst structure, so nothing really to like about black's position here. In other words, you shouldn't play this way. It doesn't mean I'm going to win, of course. It just means you shouldn't play this way. Yeah, let's go ahead and clamp down on the pawn push. So he's never going to get in d5. So it'll always be a backwards pawn. Yeah, he can do that. Have to worry about knight to c2 check. So I guess he'll bring the bishop here. And I don't mind that. He's giving up another pawn, or not another pawn. He's giving up a pawn. Oh, he's not, because the knight defends it. I think I will just take his knight. He can play the move knight to b3 because of the pin on the A file. But does that knight to b3 really accomplish much? Knight to b3 doesn't really attack anything. Okay, well, he released the pressure on the A file, so just take that knight. And so he's got a worse pawn structure now. Let's bring my knight out. Maybe I can win that pawn. I mean, how is he even going to defend it? Not at all. Let's take here first. I guess that gives him a good post for his knight. Or bishop. And then we'll take here, threatening the b pawn. The only thing I haven't done here is I haven't castled. And maybe he can exploit that, we'll see. I don't think so, because there's just not enough force on the board here for him to do much. I'm going to bring my rook to the center anyway. Win the endgame. Yeah, I had to move that forward. Here, let's get rid of this rook. Or take over the file. Yeah, I think it's simpler. It's a simpler win with the rooks off, so let's just get them off. Or take over the file. You can always just let me have the file. Aha, he decides to take a pawn. Yeah, you know, that's reasonable. Let's take here first. Then attack this pawn. If he moves the pawn forward, this bishop will be forever trapped over here. As long as I control this diagonal, the bishop will have no moves. He can't attack this pawn. His knight is too far away, and his bishop is the wrong color. So let's take it. So it's an endgame with an extra pawn. It's still tricky because there are two pieces on each side. Things can happen. But it should be a win if I play well. So where is his knight coming? Here and here. Let's step forward. Probably I should put these pawns on dark squares too. I'm going to move the knight out of the way and then push this pawn forward, but I want to get everything set up first. So if I go here with the king, he can check me here. So let's sneak around this way. My goal is to get my bishop to the c4 square. If I can get my bishop there, it would help to dominate his knight. So I can go here attacking his bishop, and he's got no way to check me. Now let's yeah, put this on a dark square here, also restrict his knight. I wanted to get my bishop to c4 when his knight was on c7. You know, that was with the bishop here and the knight here. The bishop dominates the knight, but his knight sneaked out. Okay. Do I want to save that pawn or push it? I mean, I can defend it or push it. If I defend it, I can attack my bishop with his knight. So let's just push it then. In the endgame, yeah, you got to be careful. Make haste slowly. Okay, let's keep control of these squares. That his knight might hop into. See if he wants to trade bishops. The fewer pieces there are, the easier the win is for me. Because the king and pawn endgame is a straightforward win. Yeah, so he keeps the pieces on. Let's bring the knight back. But then that gives him a square for his knight. Let's bring my king forward to attack his knight. I don't mind going for knight versus bishop here. These pawns are already can't be attacked by the bishop. Yeah, so he keeps the knight on. Now I'll move my knight to the side and start pushing my pawn. I think everything is in order. He can check me here. He can attack his knight. How did I know he was going to do that? He can play his knight here. Yep, he went there again. I'm pushing the pawn forward. He has two checks. My king can step away from both of them. There's no fork yet. I have to be careful of forks, of course. Let's step aside with the king then. Get that pawn rolling. Aha, he was a little too quick there. Always got to be careful when there's knights on the board. He's going to play on. I mean, yes, it's true. He has a knight on the board too. He also can go after these pawns. Can go here or here to harass my bishop. I can move the pawn forward. And let's get my knight to what square? This square would give a check, or this square. Yeah. Let's guard this square in front of the pawn. You can check me there or there. That's okay. I can step forward. Like so. Now the knight can check here, drive his king away. His knight cannot check me. So I'll go ahead and give me the check, give the check, give the check. Get a queen. And there you go. So here, I just want to show you something on the analysis board. Let's see, I hope this comes out in the recording. In the opening, this is all normal up to here. This is still normal. This is, if you want to play the Sveshnikov, you bring this knight out first. White defends, and then you kick. And this is different because, well, he still could have played this way. You push the d-pawn forward at this point when the knight comes here. Then you're threatening to kick this knight, drive it back, and then you're threatening. So these pawns come forward like this to threaten the fork, and that gives enough counterplay. So that's how the Sveshnikov works. So if we back up, the Kalashnikov is trying to get to the same position a move earlier by playing, by skipping the development of this knight, just playing here. The knight goes here anyway, and still black should play with d6 to stop my knight from coming in here. And then this is fine. It's my turn, and I can play here, so it doesn't. This will be a different line than the Sveshnikov. Gives a different character to the position to have the two pawns forward. So, but what he did was none of the above. He just played a6, kicking my knight, inviting it into this square, and then I'm just up. I have an advantage of the bishop pair and a better pawn structure. So, you know, if he goes like this, it's the most common move here. You shouldn't avoid the queen trade. Just go for it. Go for the end game and win it. And you should teach people not to play this way. So this is like an 18th century or 19th century line. There was a match between England and France where they played this way. Le Bourdonnais, maybe that's the name of the variation. McConnell or Le Bourdonnais. Anyway, not a good line. Here, let's get a rapid game in here. So we're off to a good start. Hopefully I can keep it up. Abu Musa. Well, I don't want a Sicilian again. Let's play a French. Plays the exchange variation and develops on that side. That's a bit unusual. I'll just develop normally. Normally they develop the knights on the king, knight and bishop on the king side are the first pieces to be developed, usually. And I'm going to castle so I don't have to deal with the check. Yeah, so I get my rook on the e-file first. Interesting. Not that it's a big deal. He's prevented me from pinning his knight. I'll prevent him from pinning my knight too. That pin is sometimes uncomfortable. And now he's stopping me from playing c5, which I was thinking about. Let's develop, excuse me, let's develop the bishop. Why is it all highlighted? I'm trying to undo the highlights. Let's go back. Why is it highlighted? There we go. Got it. We got rid of it. Yeah, having this pawn forward allows me to duck my bishop out of the way while keeping it on a good diagonal. So with the bishop on this diagonal, maybe my knight should come out to b4, right? We'll try this. He stops that. So Abu Musa here is not really taking advantage of the time control. Let's pause. I mean, we played this faster than the Blitz game. We have more time on our clock than when we started. What's going on here? I could put a knight on e4 here. That seems like a reasonable move. If he takes, I can take with the bishop. I can swing my knight around to the king side, but I'm not quite sure I'm ready for that. Could also take with the pawn. That would give a little imbalance to the structure. Oh, when I put my knight there, though, he's going to take this pawn, right? So let's think about it. Do I have a nice trick? I put the knight here. He takes the pawn. I can move this bishop with tempo, but he can't really do much. Well, I could take a pawn over here, but that's not accomplishing much. Yeah, I'm worried if I play my knight to e7 here. This is kind of the move I want to play, I guess, to bring the knight into the game and push the c-pawn forward. He'll just bring his knight here. So I'm going to start with this move. His knight on b4 would be attacking my bishop, and with the knight here, the bishop would not have a retreat square. So that would be a bit awkward. Not fatal, but why give up the bishop if you don't have to? Okay, so he's thinking about trading. I'm going to bring the knight around. The knight might go to the f5 square. Where it hits that bishop on e3, threatening to win a pawn there, actually. If he takes my bishop, I can take with the king and keep my c-pawn defended. So he goes there himself, yeah. Okay, so knight to f5. I'm still thinking about it. Does he move his bishop away? He can move his bishop to f4. Okay, so there's a sequence where if I put the knight here, I'm threatening to take this knight and win a pawn, but that would leave this knight hanging, this pawn hanging after bishop takes, pawn takes, and I move this knight away, then this pawn is hanging. So I'm going to defend my d-pawn. Then I'm going to play knight to f5 with the threat on the bishop and the knight. He's going to play bishop f4. Then I'm going to take his pawn. No, then he'll take my bishop with check. That won't work. Okay, he takes there first. I could take with the knight now because that knight is no longer needed. That knight is no longer needed to defend the c-pawn. Okay, so he goes there. I can't play can't play knight f4 anymore. The queen is threatening on f7, of course. I'm just wondering whether I should take the knight. Yeah, I think bringing this knight back to f6 is simplest and best. I'll play maybe knight to g6. Knight g6 he will take. Oh, I walked into a trap. I did, yeah, all that talking. So if I take his bishop, he will take my knight. So let's take here first. And I can move this knight, and when I move it, it's a tempo on his bishop, but I can't really move it with a threat. Don't see the threat. Perhaps I can round up this pawn, and then it won't be such a disaster here, just a pawn down. If he takes my knight, I'll take back, hitting his queen. Queen takes pawn, I take the bishop. So he moves his queen. Changes his focus, yeah. Makes sense. Let's stop the mate on on g7. Not so hard to play these moves. They kind of are forced. So now his bishop is hanging, I think, unless he can get some trick going with the knight. And his pawn is hanging. So yeah, he takes there. Still, he has to save the bishop at some point. So yeah, queen takes pawn, pawn takes bishop. You can throw in rook to d1. They're attacking my queen. I'm not quite sure where I will go. Could go to c7. I got rid of the knight so he can play this. Makes sense. Now I will go to c7. Queen takes pawn, rook takes, forks the queen and the bishop. Bishop here, and I take it with the knight and then take the pawn. So he did not get to keep his pawn. Well, maybe he does. He can save the bishop here somehow. But my pieces are looking pretty active. The knight controls the f4 square, so he can't pin that rook. Like I said, this was a rapid game where you're supposed to have lots of time. Got to look for things like that. Okay, we will just unpin. He resigned. Okay, 2 wins. Well, maybe we'll play some... yeah, we don't have half an hour yet. Let's play some other games. Maybe a faster time control. Let's go with d4. See if I can speed up here. Remember to play in time. Okay. Yeah, got a Nimzo-Indian. I'm going to go with the Rubinstein variation. Playing normal moves. Yeah, I like to play with the c-pawn too. try and weaken the center. I'm going to castle, and then I assume he'll take the knight at that point. Oh, he goes for the double exchange there. So I take, can take with the knight. Let's castle first, so my so my knight is unpinned. So yes, he can take all of these pawns. I can take two. Aha, so he doesn't go for the trade of bishop for knight. Not very Nimzo-like of him. What to do? Push this pawn forward. Boom, boom. Get a knight here. There's a knight coming in here, a problem. I think this looks like a good diagonal for my bishop, so I'm going to play with bishop to b2 here. He's playing with his bishop there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get my queen out of the line of fire. He didn't go for the queen trade. So have we got a totally symmetrical position? I think we do, just about. He broke the symmetry by putting his queen over here, which means that I can attack his knight somehow. Maybe like this. Let's see how he reacts. Yeah, so he just retreated his bishop. So I can take the knight. I mean, it's not hanging. It's just that it messes up his kingside pawn structure there. Makes it an easier game for me. I can bring my queen out with check here. Let's wonder if I should start with the knight move. I'm bringing this knight in, but I just like opening up the diagonal immediately. Ask him what he's going to do about that. Is he planning to defend here? He's going to keep playing instantly, so let's do the check. Just to see how he reacts. So he goes that way. So I can take the queen. Yeah, there's a potential sacrifice on e6, but it doesn't quite work. Maybe if I go here. Keep the queens on. I can drop this bishop back and hit the the h7 square. Okay, so he goes for that. Ah, that gets rid of the sacrifice idea. That gets rid of the sacrifice here. Because I was planning to come in there with the knight and fork his rook and queen. Sack the bishop for 2 pawns and then take with the knight, forking those 2 pieces. And I can take that. Oh, his queen was there. Oh, I didn't see that. Okay. Let's bring this knight here. Let's give the check. Take off one of them bishops. Oh, his king keeps running. Interesting. Yeah, he's going to put his rook. He's going to put his rook here. Hope I won't notice. So he decides to take there. Yeah. So let's see if we can attack these pawns here. Yeah, I saw that. I didn't decide what to do about it. Yeah, I was thinking queen here would defend, but actually it doesn't because he can still go to the corner and that's still checkmate. Yeah, he can bring his bishop into f3 and win the rook. But he doesn't, okay. He was just going for that. So there's a check here. I lost on time. Anyway, that was that was not a great game, but the other two games are good, so we will do this. Here, let's just check out something in the opening here. Yeah, he took right away, so I didn't have time. If he had played something else, say like that. The idea was to take here and here. I don't know if this is any good. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good because he can do this. Okay, so that wouldn't have worked anyway. But what he played, he took the knight, I took back, and then he forked. So I could have escaped this way because this is a threat of checkmate. So he has to do something to respond to that. And then if he just blocks it, then I'll have time to save my knight. So I was still there, but I didn't notice that the queen, was defending the pawn. So just failed from there, and black was just winning. Anyway, interesting games. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Bye.